They've been supporting the community for 60 years with innovative services. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Laurel Hess and this is COMCAST Newsmakers. Joining me now is the President and CEO of the Neighborhood Service Organization, Sheilah Clay. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
60 years is an awful long time for a nonprofit organization to thrive and prosper. I would imagine what you do today is a lot different than perhaps what you were doing in the 1950s?
Oh, absolutely, but somewhat similar. We were working with youth in the 1955 was one of our first programs, worked with seniors and worked with those who lived in public housing. And now we've got a full gamut of services providing for behavioral health care regarding mental illness, substance abuse, homelessness, youth leadership and violence prevention and workforce development, a full gamut of services that we provide the community that have grown over the last 60 years.
What geographical area do you serve?
We serve all of Wayne County for some of the programs. We cover the state of Michigan for others, and some are localized in the city of Detroit.
And I would imagine, like most nonprofits, rely on a lot of donations, some grants, a little bit of public funding as well?
We have all of the above. Government funding, foundations, and we're growing our base for individual donors, but most of our funding is coming from foundations and government organizations. Federal, state, local, county, and city. And
so obviously, it impacts you quite a bit when there are cutbacks. I know there have been some cuts to the general fund that could affect, here in the state of Michigan, that could affect one of your core programs for the homeless?
It has already affected our homeless program in terms of the funding for our outreach program that goes onto the streets of Detroit and picks homeless people up on the street. That program is the one that's really at risk of losing its funding. The end of March of this year, we received a cut last year because of general fund, and that cut is continuing into this fiscal year.
And so what do you then do? Are there other revenue sources? Do you go to Lansing and plead? Do you just simply not have the program? Do you have any idea what the future holds?
We are talking to foundations. We are talking to the city of Detroit. We just received a donation last week from Illich Charities for that particular program. We have individual donors who are specifying and designating their contributions to go to our Road Home program, which is the program that we're talking about now. And that's the program that cleared away Tent City in Detroit last month. And so it's a viable program. It is the only mobile crisis response team for the homeless that is in operation in the city of Detroit right now.
I was going to mention that this is really an important program that we all can see how it is benefiting folks. If folks were not watching the news, they must have heard about Tent City homeless people really living long-term on the streets, and you were able to get them all placed somewhere indoors.
Right, they are all placed indoors, and now we're moving all of them to permanent housing. So we put them in temporary housing, but we got them out of the tents in sub-0 degree weather, but they wanted to go together collectively, and we were able to facilitate that. So now all of them will be moved into permanent housing, and we will end their life being homeless.
Very quickly, I know that's one of your core programs. What are some of the other super prominent, important programs that you facilitate?
We have our largest programs for older adults with a mental illness, and we provide services in Wayne and Oakland County, and a large program for children and adults with developmental disabilities. And we're a suicide prevention center for all of Wayne County. Those are our largest programs.
All right, wonderful organization, really addressing a whole gamut of issues. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
For more information on today's topic, you can visit nso-mi.org. Today's COMCAST Newsmaker was Sheilah Clay, the President and CEO of the Neighborhood Service Organization.